everybody, welcome back. As you can see from my my sweater and the festivities that are going on behind me, it is time for our annual year in review, kind of holiday, close out the year where we go over everything and then likely do a 2020 like a look ahead type of video as well. So we're gonna dive right in. It's gonna be another one of those lengthy videos. Got a lot of stuff to go over, but really kind of excited to sit down with you and hopefully, you know, as through the holidays you'll be able to watch through this video and kind of get some insights into where we were, where we've been, and what we're kind of doing. But just really glad to be here with you guys and kind of wrap up 2019, put a bow on everything before we head out on our holiday break. So just if you're here for the first time, thank you for stopping by. You know, we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. We've been kind of absent this past year, and that's mainly due to kind of a fluctuation in our video situation on where we could do the videos. So that'll change in 2020. We're almost wrapped up with the new studio. Super excited about that. They're going to be putting the final drywall and paint on this weekend, I believe. So we're going to start off 2020 in that new studio, and we're going to have regular videos, kind of go back to the way we did in 2018, where we did a bunch of videos, had a lot of video content, because it's the way that we really like to communicate with you guys. We have the facilities to do it, and you know, we have a videographer on staff, and it's just one of those things that we like to do is provide video content. We know that people engage with that a lot more frequently and in a different way than you do with potentially, you know, social media content. So it's something we want to provide. It's something we want to get better at, and so which is why we kind of took a break from it in 2019, because we just weren't producing quality videos because of things that were outside of our control. We just didn't have a space that was dedicated for a studio, and that's going to change. So really looking forward to getting that up and running. So if you're here for the first time, awesome, subscribe, because there's going to be a bunch of stuff that's going to come out in 2020, and you're kind of want to be there and see everything. And it's the easiest way to stay in contact with us on YouTube is to just subscribe to our channel. If you've been here for the long haul, you've been here since we started the channel or for quite some time, it's awesome to get to sit down and kind of talk to you and give you guys an update on how things went in 2019, and you know, what we did and what we didn't do. So we're going to just dive right into that and kind of cover the year as it went by. So we'll start off with some of the changes to the pens that we made. So this year in years past, we have not every year has been a year where we did production runs on pens. It was kind of like we staggered things where we try to machine 2 different pens, a new production run in 2016, and then do the other pens that we needed in 2017. A lot of that kind of had to do just with the fact that we weren't out of stock on certain pens, and things were staggered because of how we released stuff when we finished Kickstarters. But when we started this year off in 2019, we were pretty low in stock on a majority of our pens, except for the Bolt V2, and that was only because we released that production run in November, December of 2018. So outside of that pen, we were really kind of not out of stock, but we were low in stock on a lot of our pens, and so we knew that this year was going to predominantly be a manufacturing year. Probably not going to be able to release too many new products. We had hoped to prototype some new stuff this year, but it just didn't really work out that way for us. But what we were able to do is we were able to kind of standardize some of our production pens, the customs line of pens, the pens that we've kind of been known for, that you know you'll know, like the EDK and the Retract and the K series. We were able to do some modifications to those pens to not re-engineer them, but to make them better. So if you've kind of kept up with us and you know what I'm talking about, a lot of it had to do with adding O-rings to the pens, minor engineering changes that just increased it improved the functionality of the pen itself in terms of how it stayed together or threaded together, stuff like that. So we added O-rings to the lower barrels on all of our click pens. So We started with the Bolt V2 last year, or 2018, and then we added it to the EDK in the production run we did in the spring, and the retract that we did in the summer, into the barrel area, into the lower barrel area, so that when you pocket carry the pen, it didn't come unscrewed. We got a lot of feedback that our pens would come unscrewed when people pocket carried them, especially in tight jeans and stuff like that. So it was one of the biggest points of feedback that we've received as we've grown and more of our pens have gotten out into the wild. So it was something we looked at doing the end of last year, and we just decided to, from moving forward, we would just add that to all the pens. It just allows them to stay in place in your pocket, and you don't have to worry about them coming unscrewed and losing pieces. So it was not a major change. It was big enough that they weren't going to be backwards compatible with previous versions. So that was kind of implemented in all those pens. And then when we went to machine the latest batch of the K series of Render K and Fountain K, we added a cap O-ring to that to keep the cap on. The Stay Fast cap system that basically keeps the cap on when it's in your pocket as well. So again, based off of user feedback, it was something that we really kind of pushed to do. So again, this is just evidence that, you guys provide us with a lot of feedback, and while we do see that stuff when we're testing them, we don't necessarily, it's not something that that we like pick out and we would potentially change, except for the fact that the predominant amount of more and more user feedback was given to us that this was something that you guys would like to see fixed. So, we listen to you guys. It's something that we're very particular about doing, is that when we get a lot of feedback, and it's good feedback and it's stuff that we can actually implement in our designs and engineering, we take it seriously and attempt to do that in as many situations as possible. So that was something that we were able to do. And really look forward to doing that, and it has shown dividends just in terms of like how we've worked with it. It's increased our labor in terms of putting all that stuff together, but at the same time, it ensures that you guys are having a better user experience when it comes to our products. So ultimately, that's that's one of our big goals, is to make sure that the customer is satisfied in our product and it's going to last. And you're going to get the type of use out of it that you expect from our product. So it was kind of a no-brainer that we went ahead and did that. So those things were kind of the big stuff that we started the year out with, was just kind of adapting our current the customs line of pens, and improving all of those as we went into production runs on every single one of those. We sat down, we were very intentional, Bill, myself, G, when she came on board, Tommy sat down at times with us, just sat down and kind of said, hey, we're going to be machining the EDK. What do we want to do with that pen this year, in terms of the engineering with it, and potentially design changes, aesthetic design changes. We kind of sat down at the beginning of about 2 to 4 weeks before the production run would start. We would sit down and go and kind of walk through the entire process and make those and finalize those changes. They would update the CAD files, we'd prototype them, make sure everything worked right, and then put them into production. So it was really beneficial for us, and we think that it's going to be a benefit for the customer as well. We have yet to hear any real negative feedback about it. So great to hear that from you guys, that it's something that you wanted, we were able to do, and that it's proving to be as successful as it has been. So that kind of leads us into some of the other stuff that we did this year with those pens. If you're familiar with what we've done in the past and how our pens look and feel, we did a lot of, during the production runs, specifically of the EDK and the Bolt and the Retract, we added fluted barrels to the lower barrels. This is just kind of something that Bill and I had talked about when we sat down to talk about the EDK specifically, where we kind of sat down and were like, hey, what can we do to kind of provide a better, more options for the EDK? Because the EDK is, I don't want to say it's a plain pen, but it doesn't have a lot of options, and people, a lot of people like the ringed version of it, but we wanted to try some new things, and so we went ahead and ran with fluting the barrels on those, and then we did a small run. I think it was 600 bodies initially, and a couple hundred, maybe 150 each of the brass and copper lowers as well, and just kind of a fluke, kind of a whim that we just had landed on that one. Wanted to see how it would work. Went ahead and did the EDK aluminum ones, and then anodized them in specific colors. And they were a huge hit. You guys really responded to them to the point where I wish we'd done double or 3 times the amount that we did with the EDKs, because we ran out of the EDKs relatively quickly. We were able to do like 3 or 4 colors, maybe 5 colors. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we were able to do about 5 colors in the aluminum ones, but they were huge hits. People loved them. And then when we kind of rolled right into the retract release and then added some bolts throughout the year as well, again, good response to all that stuff. And we just kind of took a flyer on it, not knowing how well it would be received, because we tried stuff in the past with the grooved EDKs, and way back when we've tried some other things that we just kept in house that never really fit with the lower barrels, but the fluting really seemed to be a positive, and so that was great to see. And really, you guys really responded to it. We tried to do different colorways and different combinations and try some stuff that we'd never really done before in terms of anodizing them or offering them in mixed materials. So huge response from you with the fluted pins. So that was awesome to see. And I know that people wanted more versions of them, specifically brass and copper fluted retracts and brass and copper fluted bolts. And that there was a couple different reasons. We were at the end of the machining run and we really needed to wrap up so we could start the rendered Ks. And then we also kind of ran out of material for those, the size that we use for those. So it just wasn't in the cards for us to do the brass and copper and the bolt and the retract this year. But we will probably see those. You will probably see those next year. We're going to do some smaller batches of that stuff, circle around and add that option back in, since we had a ton of people. We had a ton of emails about that, and a lot of social media conversations on Facebook, people asking if we were going to add that. So we will at least do those in smaller batches. They might not be full production, 500 to 1,000 of those, which is normally the size of each production run for brass and copper that we do for those pens. Will probably be, maybe 200 to 500 of each version. So, but you will see those hopefully next year. Big news this year, we finally released the VERTEX. So if you saw those everywhere, we had tons of people asking about those because we prototyped those in 2018 and released them at some of the pen shows, and the release of it just got pushed back for a laundry list of reasons. Most of them had to do with machines that broke down and material, and then just getting that back running. It seemed like we ran into a wall every single time we tried to release that or machine that pen and get a release date like set in stone. And so I kind of stopped talking about them and mentioning them or mentioning a hard date. And we were just gonna attempt to get them released in 2019, which we did. It was awesome. I think we ended up having a total production run of just under 1,000. So with the Delrin and the acrylic standard versions, and then the 5 or 6 different custom or limited editions and special editions that we did, we had about a total of maybe 800 or 850, something like that. And we've sold out of them, like they're gone. So we don't have any of that first batch, which is pretty big. Normally when we do that first production run, especially of something like the acrylic and resin pens, because we're still kind of nailing that down in terms of how to do them on our machines in the most efficient way and make them look the way that you guys want them to look and we want them to look. That 1,000 piece production run is kind of where we wanted to be at. When we did the first production run of the Decograph, we only did about, we did about 600 of those. So we wanted to shoot for 1,000. I think we kind of ran into about 850, and most of that was due to the fact that we had about 100 or so either bodies or caps that were damaged in production that we just couldn't fix. So ended up with about 850, but it was still a big production run for us in terms of getting resin pens out, and it was super. You guys really responded to them. Everybody responded to them. We saw the reviewers really, for the most part, really liked what we did there, and so that pen will not be going away in the future. If you were kind of up in the air because we've been out of stock on them, don't worry, we will be circling back around to manufacture those again. And then if you've been paying attention to us, we did recently release our second production run of the Decographs. Started off with the first off the line, which was an all aluminum, unanodized, just high polished version that we put together. We did 25 of those pens with like a box and everything. Kind of just, we don't really, we get requests to do that pen in a raw aluminum finish. We get requests to do all of our pens in raw aluminum finish, but we don't usually do them, specifically because they're hard to control the quality. It's really, really labor intensive to get that polished aluminum if you're not protecting it with, a coat of anodize or something like that. But when you anodize them, they look specifically different than when it's just the raw aluminum. So wanted to get some out there to people that really asked for that option. So we did 25. I know it's not a lot, but it did take us about a week and a half, 2 weeks to sell through those. So it's ample time for people to purchase those if they wanted to. It's not something that we're going to do frequently in terms of our other pens. We don't do raw pens in raw aluminum pens anymore. They're just kind of, like I said, it gets really difficult to keep those looking the way that they need to. And then we ran right into the first of the special edition releases, which was the Winter Wonderland, the white Omas acrylic manufactured in Italy. Super nice stuff. Looks amazing. Still have some of those on the website if you're looking for those. And then we're doing some other special releases. And then in 2020, you're going to see a whole bunch of different options in terms of the acrylics and the resin stuff. And then full production run, we're going to do several thousand of the aluminum pens in a production run. So we're going to have some standardized aluminum colors and options that you can pick from, and then special editions like we did last year. We're going to bring back some of the most popular versions, the Delrin U2 that we did last year. We're going to launch a white Delrin version as well. So you'll see a lot of Decograph options in 2020 if you've been looking for that, because we just wrapped up production. Well, we're still wrapping up production. The majority of them have been finished. Got a few more that we've got to machine, and then we'll be polishing them, and the majority of them will be released in 2020. So we did some other cool things this year. We did some really awesome special editions. One of the ones that was really cool was the Apollo 11 anniversary, like the commemorative anniversary release that we did, where we launched the K-Mod single pen holder with that we kind of, Bill and I sat down and designed based off of the command module for the Apollo space missions. That was really fun to do, and then we ended up having 300 or 400 extra ones that we did, and we dyed those in some other different colors, and have sold those throughout the year. That was more something that we were going to do in the short term. So while we do have K-Mods in stock right now in the different colors, that might not be a product that we keep long term. Might just be something that we do 1 or 2 times a year, if that. So, but we're selling through what we have, and it's just an option to do a single pen holder, something kind of cool. Had fun with designing it. Used a lot of different things that we had kind of laying around anyway in terms of how the pen holder worked, and we're going to be adapting that into some products in the future. So it was really cool to release it. People really liked the Apollo 11 commemorative release. We did some of the D-Day commemorative release, 75-year anniversary of D-Day. We released several pens on that day, which was a huge response to those as well. So it was great to be able to do some of that. We hadn't really done anything specific like that in the past, but we will probably do some more of that when the opportunity presents itself to kind of sit down, build something out, release something that really, touches on what major historic time frames in terms of the United States and what we've done, especially when they deal with big events and stuff like that. So could see some of those again this year in this next year in 2020. But it was awesome to do that and got a lot of feedback. Had a lot of help from different people with some of the graphics and design stuff that we did with those. Not only with G, our new designer, but with some outside assistants as well. Worked really closely with one of our Pen Club members who's been featured in several different of our projects, including with the design of the Pen Club coin that we did last year. And that's kind of, that kind of leads me right into the Pen Club that we did, we're able to do another year. This is our third year of the Pen Club. Big hit again this year. We've released several different Pen Club only exclusives. We've got the last of one wrapping up right now in terms of a special Decograph that we did just for the Pen Club members. And we've got about 6 months left of the current year because it goes from July through the next year in June. So since we started the Pen Club mid-year, we kind of run it through a full year from when it starts. It's not the calendar year, it's more of a fiscal year from July of one year through June of next year. So we've got about 6 months left and we still have some slots. We try to have between 400 and 500 people, and I think we've got right around 400 people right now. So there is some opportunities. If you're not in the Pen Club and want to join that, you can still purchase into the Pen Club, and we will have several more Pen Club exclusives this year. 2 I know of that we planned out so far through the end of this fiscal year in terms of the Pen Club. But it was really cool to do another coin, get a different version of the graphics and work with Ish on working with the art that he did for that, and he put a lot into it. It came out looking really cool. So really excited with that. And this whole year has kind of been just kind of fine tuning things and really nailing stuff down in almost every aspect of what we do. So we did that with the nibs this year too. So we'll talk about nibs in closing. Kind of, if you're a fountain pen person and you used our fountain pens in the past, and we have really wanted to do something more, do our own kind of nibs as much as possible, or at least put more effort into those. And so this past year we started buying blank nibs from Bach in bulk, because the only way you can get blank nibs from them is to order them in thousands of pieces per tip size. So we went ahead and did that, but bit the bullet on that, and we will be transferring in the future, all of our nibs that we carry, except for the gold, will be nibs that are marked with our logo. So if you've purchased some of our fountain pens this last year, you've seen that we have our own branded nibs. We brand them in-house. They're shipped to us disassembled. We assemble them in-house, brand them in-house. The artwork for that is our own artwork that we've developed, and we do for some of the pens that we release. We've done artwork that's specific for those pens, with the Sasquatch ink that we did, and some of the Pen Club pens have their own artwork as well. So really kind of something that we're able to do now because we're buying those blank nibs. The only blank nibs the only nibs that we're not going to order as of right now are going to be the gold nibs. We're not going to order those blank, but the titanium nibs and all of the options in steel will be purchased in blank nibs, and we'll do them in house. And then kind of based off of while we were doing all that, we sat down and basically have trained myself. Since my background is kind of in fountain pens, I know how to tune and adjust and to a certain extent grind nibs, but definitely to smooth them and adjust them and everything. So, but I trained a couple other people, so now we have 3 people on staff, and all of our nibs that we send out are tested now. They're tested with a converter, with a K5 converter, and with the ink with the Papier Plume ink that we sell, to make sure that they function properly before they leave the building. We test them on a card that was provided. That nib is the nib that was written on that card, and to ensure that when you get the nib, as much as possible, we have tested that pen to function, and everything should be good to go. So when you load it with ink, it should write with minimal difficulties. So it was just something that we bit the bullet on, and we just had to do this year. We just wanted to improve the user experience with our fountain pen specifically, and that was just one way that we could do it. So if it entailed tuning the nib a little bit, smoothing it, whatever it took to get those nibs to write the correct way, we went ahead and did that this year. So if you've purchased some of those, you've seen that. You'll see the card in every single one. It corresponds with the nib in that pen. If you haven't, and that's kind of been one of your concerns about some of the products, if you purchased from us in the past and kind of had a poor experience with the nibs because you just use Bach nibs, and it's kind of one of the things where we would just send them out. We only really tested the premium nibs, the gold, and sometimes the titanium ones. But going forward, it's every single nib, whether it's a steel nib, titanium nib, gold nib, any of the nibs that we're going to offer in the future, they'll be tested by one of 3 employees whose initials are on that nib, so that you can kind of, if you do have an issue with it, we can email back and forth, we can try to fix it, talk on the phone, what have you. So, but that was something big that we really wanted to do this year, and we feel like we've really pulled it off, and it's been a benefit for us and for you as well, because we've had a marked decrease in the customer service emails in terms of nibs actually working or having issues with them. So it's benefited. It seems like it's benefiting the customer. It also is definitely benefiting us because we don't have to answer those questions. We don't have to troubleshoot it. We have to send out replacement nibs potentially. So we're seeing a benefit all the way around. But like as I said earlier, this year was all about really, in the past we've kind of done the same thing where it's like, we want to improve and just get better, and that's kind of where we're always at. We want to provide you with the best experience possible from every single, from your website, how you interact with us on the website, to how you interact with us on social media, to how you use our pens. We want your interaction with us and with our brand at every step to be as positive as possible. So this year was kind of nailing all that stuff down in everything that we could do, as well as doing multiple production runs. So it's been a really busy year for us. We've seen a lot of changes at work, and kind of getting all this together, but it's been much less stressful than we've had in the past, even though we've worked through a bunch of different things. So we're just happy to be here. We're happy that you're here with us on this journey. Had a really great 2019, and can't wait to get into 2020 and really kind of take that next step in terms of a lot of the stuff that we're moving towards, that we're doing, and providing for you, and new pens, potentially new products that we're going to be looking at. And it's going to be a really exciting year. But this year, as we close everything down, I just want to say thank you for being with us, for supporting us, and kind of taking this journey with us every single year. We say kind of the same thing, but it's, I can't reiterate it enough, is that, we do what we do because, the pen person, the person that enjoys our products and have passed them on to others and purchased them from others, decided to use those in your businesses, you provide us the ability to do what we do. And, we want to make that relationship between us, the manufacturer, and you, the user, as smooth and as much of a relationship and not just a transaction. So if I haven't covered anything in this 2019 wrap up, I don't know how that's possible, because it's probably like 40 minutes right now. But if I haven't covered anything and you have a question or something, just comment down below. We'll get back to you. But again, thank you. This year's been awesome. Have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We really look forward to seeing you in 2020, and couldn't be happier to be here talking to you guys and we're going to have more video content next year. But other than that, guys, take it easy. See you in 2020.